Hey guys, welcome back to another installment of Cooking with Reg-Reg. Today we're going to do one of our family favorites, which is freezer-friendly manwich. I know you can go to the store and buy the can and do the meat and mix it in, but I will tell you, this is a lot better. It has celery and bell peppers and onion. It does not have garlic. And then it has diced tomatoes, and it's just full of flavor, and it freezes very well, and everyone loves it. So let's get started. I'm going to start by washing the celery and getting that chopped, and the onions, and then chopping the onions, and then chopping the bell peppers. Okay, so we've rinsed that off. I'll call it a rough rinse. I like to take them apart and kind of just rub the stalk. So you can see it's swooped and it's ridged, and this actually was a very clean stalk. But sometimes you can open them and there's dirt inside. Sometimes there's even like little bugs. It does come from the earth, so those things will be there. And that's why you have to pull it apart, separate it, and just wash it. Okay. Now I'm going to chop it. I'm going to chop the outer edge off. And then I'm going to chop right here, if you can see where it had been cut and its air's touched it, so it's brown. So for this recipe, I need 6 stalks. Okay. So now I'm just going to chop it to where it's kind of big. I'm going to stick it in my food processor, and I'm going to do these 6 stalks first, and then I'll put them aside for the recipe. And then I'll come back and I will prepare these, and I'll freeze them. So I'm going to throw them all in. So I didn't just turn it on and let it go because I want to make sure that I don't over chop it. Okay, you have to be careful. If you do it too much, it'll like puree it. All right. All right, so you can see that there's some nice chunk to it, which I think is one of the reasons why this family manwich is so good. again, this is just gonna be a rough chop. I'll break it down a little bit more so that it can go in the food processor. Oh, an important note is that I doubled the recipe. So normally it would just be 3 celery stalks, 1 bell pepper, and 1 onion. But because I'm not cooking this for our meal tonight, I just wanted to prep some food to put in our freezer for another time. I decided to go ahead and double the batch. I'm just gonna stir this in. The next step is to brown the meat. So I'm gonna take 4 pounds. Again, we are doubling this recipe. All right, so this is a lot of beef, so it's gonna take a while to brown. So just turn it around. So let it sit. So while the meat is underway, I'm going to measure the ingredients that go into this. So the recipe asks for 58 ounces of diced tomatoes. So I have 2 of these cans. Again, remember I'm doubling the recipe. We're gonna dump this in and we're gonna stir it in. I wanna just fold this in as I go. And then the next thing it wants is 3 cups of pasta sauce. Okay, after that it wants 1 cup of ketchup. Stir this around. And then it wants half a cup of brown sugar, but I'm going to check the meat. mess. Half a cup of brown sugar. All right, now I need 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire. And then it wants a half teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of black pepper. But I'm going to take a minute to stir this all together. And I'm going to clean up some of my mess. There's still some pink in there. So I'll let this go a little bit longer. And I'm gonna switch out.
Why are you switching it out?
Nobody wants cross-contamination. You don't want to contaminate the cooked meat with uncooked. Okay, so up next is a half teaspoon of salt.
It's like fairy dust.
All right, so we're gonna stir this in. So we've added all of the ingredients except for the beef. So all of these ingredients are mixed, and once the beef is done browning, I'm gonna drain the fat off of it and let it cool a little bit, and then add it into here. Okay, so I don't see any more pink. So I'm gonna turn the heat off. So this was I don't know, I didn't get a close-up on the fat percentage, but I like to buy the leaner meat, so it was probably either 90% or 95% lean. For this reason, it doesn't give me a whole lot of grease. So I'm going to set this down for a second. Oh. You just want to be careful doing this because the bottom of your pan is still very, very hot. I know some people would say, well, why don't you just put it in a plate and drain it or use a meat drainer, but this works. So I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit. Okay, so we're at the point of the recipe that if you wanted to cook this for dinner, you would need to put it in the crock pot and let it cook for, I think, on high for 3 hours. The reason is that you do have raw veggies in here. The celery, the bell peppers, and the onion need time to cook because we haven't actually cooked them. And then you need the flavors to all blend together. So you can put it in a pot and cook it on the stove. I've done that before, but I didn't really care for it as much. And usually if I'm doing this, I just want to put it in the freezer and not worry about it till later. So Trevor asked, why is this not cooked? And I said, it's because you need to freeze it. So when you freeze it, you just need to take it out like the night before you want to use it, and let it thaw overnight, and then you can put it in the crock pot that morning before you go to work, set it on low, And then by the time you get home, it's just a nice, easy dinner. You get some hamburger buns and you have manwich. Easy freezer manwich. And this stuff is really good. Like, it's delicious. So we'll be back in a little bit to show you the freezing process. In the meantime, I'm gonna take a minute to clean up. All right, gang, we're back. So we've let this meat cool down a little bit. We still have the sauce sitting here, and then we have this celery that we need to freeze. So using my food saver system, I'm gonna make a bag for the celery. Didn't seal all the way. Okay, so we had a food saver fail, not due to food saver's error, due to user's error. So the celery had a little bit of liquid in it, and when it came time to vacuum seal it, the liquid got up into the little area where the seal needed to take place, and it kept it from sealing. So to fix that, I'm just gonna put a little piece of paper towel there, and we're gonna start again. So you'll see it, it's actually sucking in that liquid. And the liquid doesn't get up in here, which is where the sealing magic happens. And now you can see that the seal is all the way through. Before, there was a gap, and it was just because of all the liquid. So I'm gonna set this aside. So when I've done this before, I've put it in a Ziploc baggie, and then I sealed it, and then I put it inside of one of these because of the same reason. So I think I'm gonna keep with that. Again, this is a recipe that's doubled, so you're probably looking at this thinking, oh my goodness, this is a lot. But my goal is to get 2 meals from this. So then you mix it all in. Just kind of folding it in together. And I was wrong on the cooking times that I gave you earlier. So if we were to cook this today, it would need to go in the crock pot on low for 6 to 8 hours. So on low, 6 to 8 hours. And a recipe note is that if the mixture looks too liquidy at the end of the 6 to 8 hours, then you take the top off and you let it sit in the crock pot for 30 to 45 minutes on high without the lid, and that should help with thickening up the sauce so that it's not too runny. But this looks really good. And then if you were going to just freeze it, then you would freeze it for, stick it in the freezer, then thaw it overnight, and then put it in your crock pot in the morning on low And at the end of the night, your dinner's ready. So I'm gonna use this ladle. All right, so I'm gonna leave this like this for a moment. And in case you missed it, I just folded the edges of this so that when I put the ladle in the bag, whatever it touches, it leaves the top clean. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. Can you smell it? I'm going to tuck it in like this, and I'm going to slowly let it come flat, and then I'm going to press a little bit while I do it. And get some of the air out. Got a good seal. So we have now basically made 2 meals that are ready for a busy weeknight, or maybe like this coming Monday where I have a meeting and I won't be home, so I can just put this out to thaw inside of the refrigerator. Monday morning, stick it in the crock pot and turn it on, and then Trevor and the kids have dinner, and it's easy too. They just scoop it and eat it. All right, so I think that's it for tonight. All right, peace out, guys. See you next time. My cameraman, he's demanding. We're gonna do one of our family favorites, which is freezer-friendly. What is it called? Manwich. Freezer-friendly manwich.